Steve here from MadAboutLED.com. I'm here today again on day 4 of Perth's 5-day lockdown. So this is my lockdown challenge where I've challenged myself to create 5 videos in 5 days. Today's video I'm going to show you how to make an LED softbox just out of some materials lying around the house and some LED from my stock. So let's get into it. Okay, let's start making our softbox. I've cut these pieces of cardboard off of an old cardboard box to use. I'm going to use a G4 double cluster fitting. This will enable me to easily change the LEDs if needed. The fitting has a self-adhesive pad. This will make it easy to attach to the softbox a bit later. Not knowing which LED will be best for the softbox, I'll start with the brightest G4 disc in our range. These are a 2835 18 SMD multi-volt G4 disc, which has an input voltage from 10 to 30 volts DC. I've pre-cut this 12mm thick plywood to 125 by 80mm. This will be the back of the softbox and will support the G4 cluster fitting. I've pre-cut this plywood to 40mm to use as a guide a bit later. I'm using some self-adhesive foil tape to act as a reflector for the sides of the softbox. I'm just going to cut a piece long enough to cover the length of the cardboard. And now I'll just stick the foil onto the cardboard. Don't worry if you get any creases. Using the 40mm plywood guide, mark the foiled cardboard so we can cut 2 40mm strips that we'll use for the sides of the softbox. Now using a straight edge and a Stanley knife or box cutter, carefully cut out the 2 strips. Don't worry about the bit of foil missing, we can use that edge on the ply so it won't be seen. Now we'll measure and cut 2 pieces to use on the long edges of the ply. Okay, we'll need to put some strips of double-sided tapes on all 4 edges of the ply base. The double-sided tape will be used to secure the foil strips. Oops, I forgot to stick down some foil on one side of the ply base, so we'll do that and carefully trim it, taking care not to damage the double-sided tape. Now we'll need to attach one of the foil strips to one long edge of the ply base. And then we'll attach the G4 cluster fitting to the foil face, aligning it with the edge. At this point we'll drill a hole in the corner to pass the wires through. About a 5mm hole should do the trick. Now we'll just poke all the wires through the hole. It's now time to attach the 3 remaining foil strips around the ply base. Okay, so we'll just run some duct tape around the outside edges to give them some extra support. We need to ensure there's enough tape to fold back onto the ply base. At this point we can fit the G4 2835 18 SMD LED discs. Now we need to make the front reflector. For this we need to cut a hole in the centre of our second piece of cardboard. The hole should be the internal measurement of the box to allow the reflector a small surface on the edge to sit on. My internal measurement is 120mm wide by 80mm high. Taking my internal measurement into account, I need to allow a 40mm border on all sides. This should give me a total size of 200mm by 160mm. Now that I have the grid for the front reflector worked out, I can go ahead and trim the cardboard to the reflector's outside measurement. And now I need to carefully cut out the centre. I'll just check the reflective panel for size. It should be near perfect. Yep, spot on. Just to be safe, I'll mark a 5mm lip around the centre cutout. This will give me a stop line for when I need to make cuts from the outside corners. And I'll just check the softbox reflector panel for size. Now I'll mark up the corners for the initial cuts. I'll use some scissors instead of the knife for better control. I need to cut all 4 corners from the outside to the 5mm internal mark. Now I need to carefully bend up the ends so they overlap the top and bottom by about 5mm, and then mark an overlap on each corner. Then again, using the scissors, carefully cut out these small slithers. This method will create 4 angled reflectors. With my fingers, I'll gently work at bending each reflector panel to shape so that the 5mm border stays as flat as possible, whilst allowing the reflectors to meet in each of their mitered corners. Using some duct tape, I'll just tape each of the corners on the back of the miters. Now I'll grab some foil tape and work at covering the reflector. The tape covering will help stiffen the reflector and make it hold its shape. The softbox is really starting to take shape now. I'll just add some foil tape to the reflector down inside the box to secure the reflector to the box. I did a renovation a couple of months ago and picked up this translucent panel from Bunnings. It's like corflute but opaque, and it was dirt cheap. So I think this will make a nice cover for the softbox to soften the light. I'll just mark out and trim this to size and then attach it to the softbox with some duct tape. I won't put too much on just in case we need to downgrade the G4 LED discs. Now comes the fun part. I need to wire up the softbox to a male connector, and that will enable me to plug into my 12-volt power supply. So you get to see my shaky hands doing some soldering. The wires coming from the G4 cluster fitting are white and black, so I'm going to add some heat shrink in red and black to colour code the wires. So red will equal positive and black will equal negative. I'll twitch the white and black wires from the softbox together and then tin them with the soldering iron and join these wires with the connector, whilst adding some heat shrink along the way. And there we have it, all wired up and ready to go. I'll just plug it into the power supply, and now I have a softbox light to add to my video gear. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Tomorrow's video, day 5, this is going to be my last video. What will I do? Well, what's the point of having a softbox if you haven't got a stand to put it on? So that's going to be my next challenge, is to make a stand for the new softbox. See you tomorrow.